Hello, I would like to share with you a couple tips that I've learned from preparing for and taking the Educational Interpreter Performance Assessment Test, the EIPA. First of all, it is important when you take the test that you fingerspell a lot. There's a couple reasons why fingerspelling is important for an educational interpreter. First of all, especially in the elementary, you are teaching the deaf student their language. Therefore, they need to know and understand what each sign means. When you're fingerspelling, though, you cannot just fingerspell the word once or twice or even 3 times. You have to fingerspell the word, pair it with a sign, and do this maybe even hundreds of times to make sure that the student gets that that sign means that word. And it depends from student to student. The other reason why fingerspelling is important is you educate the deaf student the different types of words they will see for one sign. For example, the word subtract. We as interpreters would think subtract. But in a test, for example, the student might see the word minus. It is the educational interpreter's job to make sure that the deaf student understands that minus means subtract. So you always have to fingerspell not just new words, but other words that they might see, or special vocabulary words, or rare words. Another tip that is important for educational interpreters to know when preparing and taking the EIPA is that they use something called discourse mapping. Discourse mapping is really using space, meaning setting things up, pointing to them, referring to them, using role shifting, and things like that. This is crucial because not only are you, again, teaching the deaf student their language, but you're making things clear by doing that. This is one of the things, actually, that a lot of people are scored low on when they take the test for the first time. So keep that in mind when you're preparing. Now for a little information about the test itself. When you arrive, you are escorted to a quiet room all by yourself. You are given 2 options, option A or B, and you're able to see what kind of classroom settings you will be interpreting for. Once you choose, you are given, I believe it is about 15 minutes to prepare. And in preparation, you are allowed to use a dictionary that you bring, and that can be an English dictionary and or sign language dictionary. When you're preparing for this portion, I strongly encourage you that you go through the vocabulary that is listed on a handbook that they give you once you've given your selection. This handbook gives you a little bit more information about each class that you're going to do. Use that information, especially the vocabulary words. After you've prepared and you're interpreting for the lecture portion, make sure you are fingerspelling and linking the sign to those vocabulary words that were mentioned in the paper. The raters will be looking for that. When I took this portion, I felt pretty good. I will admit there were times when it felt like it was going too fast. But one crucial thing that you as the interpreter must do when taking the test is keep going, and don't let the raters know that you made a mistake. Just keep going. When you are given the option between which child you would like to interpret for, you are allowed to choose between 2 people to interpret for voicing. I strongly encourage that when you are watching those videos, practice voicing for the student. Sometimes what can happen is when you look at a student, you think to yourself internally, oh, I understand them. But when you start trying to voice for them, it's completely different. So go ahead, voice for the student, and figure out which one works for you. Once you let the test taker know, you then will interpret for them. When you interpret for them, make sure you are clear and that you use your affect, like a kid would, especially if it's a younger kid. The setup of the room is a big, large room with a wide screen so that you can see the video. There is a camera in front of you, and I do encourage you to look into the camera because that's where the raters will be looking. The last thing that I would give as advice would be to just practice as real situations as possible. Good luck, and you can do it.